ain't gonna apologize. You can see just where I stand. You know exactly who I am. Taking everything I want. Don't believe me, then just watch. Spinning like the earth is mine. Moving like I own this time. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Can't stop me now. Ain't backing down. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Ain't afraid to bare my soul. Ain't afraid to walk on coals. Hear the thunder when I step. You know where to place your bet. I'm burning like a house on fire. Cutting like a razor wire. I ain't gonna tell no lies. I ain't gonna apologize. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Can't stop me now. Ain't backing down. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Not trying to be your hero. It's the only way that I know. This battle is never through. Every risk that I take, every bone that I break, just doing what I do. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Can't stop me now. Ain't backing down. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do. Can't stop me now. Ain't backing down. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do.
Happy Friday, June 16th, 2023. It's Chris and Mark with the NWA Exchange podcast. The only podcast you need to listen to know everything about Bella Vista and beyond. Even meetings that aren't on the city calendar. We hope everybody had a great week. Getting ready to go into an extended weekend. Juneteenth, baby. Let's get into it. What's going on, homie?
Hey, what's cooking, man?
Man, regardless of what the city calendar says, bro, Monday, June 19th is Juneteenth, the newest
Right.
federal holiday. And, I'm kind of
Since
bummed to see,
2021.
yeah, I'm kind of bummed, man, to see like this isn't a thing on our city calendar. Much like coffee with a cup is not on our city calendar either. But that being said, maybe we're just going to will this stuff into existence because they have a regular city council work session scheduled on a federal holiday. I don't know if that sounds really inclusive, to Juneteenth or not. But apparently the business must go on in Bella Vista. Remind everybody that is a federal holiday. Mail will not be running. Your federal offices probably won't be open. I would almost bet that the state probably. You know what? Can we do a quick Google on that and see if the DMV's open on Monday? I'm gonna do a quick Google on that and just see if the DMV over in Bentonville's open. DMV Arkansas closed on Juneteenth. State holiday information, Arkansas Secretary of State. Well, let's see what they have. If the Secretary of State's saying it, right? apparently they're not recognizing it from the state
Yeah, it's
perspective,
federal level.
man. Just the
Probably
federal level.
federal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you work for the federal government, kudos to you. I just say it's a federal holiday, bro. But I guess that goes in line with like Columbus Day and stuff like that. They don't give people Columbus Day off, right?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
they give the federal workers Columbus Day off. Okay. Well, that
Hey,
settles that, bro. I guess the Secretary
Hey.
of State said so, so it's not a thing, right?
It's nothing better than bringing the police and the community together than coffee with a cop, buddy.
Yeah, a coffee with the cop, man. Tell me about that. When's that happening?
Tuesday, 6:20, 9 a.m., man. Should be a pretty good turnout. Last year I was there, had a pretty good turnout there. So coffee and donuts, and Chief Graves will be there. And I think last year there was a gentleman from the sheriff's office, and
They were peddling a millage increase or something like that, right?
yeah, the
Wonder-
jail.
Wonder
The
what they're
jail.
selling this week.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully they don't do that to us. But look forward to going there. So,
Yeah.
if anybody's interested, going again, it's Tuesday, June 20th, at the new Public Safety Building, 2483 Forest Hills Boulevard, at 9 a.m. So,
Awesome. Yeah, cool, man. I look forward to hearing what you gather out of that this round. That being said, bro, what else do we got going on? Oh, big announcement. Let's go over to WebbyShare real quick. I'll tell everybody what we're looking at. City calendar, obviously, like I said, Juneteenth isn't on there. Apparently, they don't have to recognize it because the state's not recognizing it. It'd be nice to have it there, though, to let everybody know. Keep that in the forefront of everybody's mind. Let them know that this is a holiday. It's a real holiday, right? Planning Commission. Not Planning Commission. City Council work sessions on the 19th. That's one that people, if you're in the short-term rental world, you may want to go to. Why? Why, you ask, right? Well, we're going to tell you. Short-term permit requirement is approaching June 27th. Okay, I'm sure they're going to talk about this a little bit, how they're going to enforce it. Maybe not. That's what they do at the work sessions. But the requirement to have a valid permit to operate a short-term rental unit in Bella Vista officially goes into effect Tuesday, June 27th. They call it official. I call it unofficial because this is still being litigated. The 26th is actually the hearing for the short-term rental
that is correct,
lawsuit
9
that's
a.m.
going on, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And so depending on what happens during there, if there's an injunction that's awarded or whatnot, then everything kind of just falls along the wayside. But that being said, there's also on the agenda item. Let me finish reading this, though, because this was sent from the city to our media accounts because we are legitimate media, believe it or not, and we requested to be on the media distribution. And so, Cassie, thank you very much for continuing to send these emails, and Wanda as well. But the Bella Vista City Council passed an ordinance in December 2022 requiring all short-term rental owners to have a permit approved for operation that must be updated annually and posted in a clearly visible location at the unit. The ordinance sets a maximum number of 600 rental units that use an entire house or residence allowed in the city. This cap does not include owner-occupied units, commercial units, or sewer on or timeshare properties. As of June 14th, the city has issued 113 of the 600 allowed permits to STR owners. Such an emergent issue, I guess, right, that they had to ramrod this through the way that they did, and they've only had 113 applicants. The rules also set the occupancy limit for each unit based on whether that property is on sewer or has a septic system, as well as minimum of 2 off-street parking spaces required for guests. On-street parking by guests is strictly prohibited and will be enforceable starting June 27th. Those short-term units, rental units that are operated without an approved permit are subject to a citation and a fine. Oh no! Oh no! Right.
So here's what's confusing, Chris, is the as of June 14th, the city has issued 113 of 600 allowed permits. 113. How many are in the process of trying to get it done and have things they have to fix?
There's a lot that aren't being approved due to egress issues with Windows.
And my next question is, if they lose the lawsuit here, how do they recoup the money and the money that's been spent
That's a
to
very
get this
good
to
question.
code?
That is a very good
Or these people are out of luck, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. With the way that they're spending money, man, it's like they act like stuff grows on trees. Are they
Yeah.
going to have the funds to give it back? I don't know. I don't know how that works. I'm sure they have reserves that they could, they have to keep reserves. I believe that Peter Christie did establish a reserve policy whenever he was our mayor. So that's one great thing that he did, is to establish, kind of a reserve for the city, emergency reserve policy.
Well, that'll be used for the bridge.
Well, I think they're using federal funds for the bridge now, so I don't know, some free money from the Fed, I don't know.
Nothing's free,
Nothing's,
man.
no, it is. It is for them. It's free for them. But anyhow, to apply for a permit, you can go to bellavistaar.gov, short-term rentals. If you don't have a permit and you feel like you need one to use your property as you see fit, then go through the hoops, man, and have fun doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd wait till the lawsuit's over. I'd wait till a judge rules on it and all the appeals are over. And I would just ignore it. But that being said, there's also Monday at the work session, there is a new business item, and we're going to talk about that briefly. New business for Monday is providing the inapplicability of occupancy limits in short-term rentals for up to 5 reservations or lease arrangements made on or before December 19th, 2022. Declaring an emergency. Boy, they love you. They love using emergency powers for everything these days.
Oh, yeah.
And for other purposes. Wow, that sounds very descriptive, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll tell you what they're talking about. Some people are ticked off that they had a reservation, but because the city of Bella Vista enacted these occupancy limits and all these ordinances and started stepping on private property owners' freedoms, they had, the property owner doesn't want to be cited or fined, so they've canceled people's summer reservations. And people are a little upset about that, right? Especially when you're like planning on flying your whole family in for your grandma's 50th anniversary or whatnot like that, right?
Yep.
And there's just not enough room, and you're not allowed to hold those type of functions anymore. So now the city's going to give a little bit of a variance to those people. Well, they're going to discuss it, I guess. But that would be one that I would definitely look, me personally, I don't think that this is even worthy of even going through this process on. If code enforcement is going to sit outside my house and wait and with a clicker like a bouncer, right, at a nightclub and click every time they see a person walking through that threshold, right? That's harassment, brother. That's targeting. Leave me alone.
Right.
Leave these people alone.
Right.
I mean, leave these house owners. Hey, government, leave these house owners alone. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know, leave the kids alone. I don't know, is it Pink Floyd? But I mean, they gotta leave. Like, I would have never. First of all, I would have never canceled anybody's reservation. Period. If somebody's that hell bent on shutting us down, go ahead. Go ahead and try. Sue me.
Yeah.
Sue me. Cite me. Find me. Sue me. Right?
Right.
You have the opportunity to fight anything in court. And at that time, when that happens, I would definitely fight it in court. This is unconstitutional according to the state of Arkansas's constitution. Period.
Right.
Well, that's my thoughts on that, sir.
Yeah. So the work session again will be taking place June 19th, 5:30 to 7:30. No voting or public comment allowed, but again, those should be interesting when they'll be talking about the sewer and the connections and all that conversation that happened the last few weeks, along with the short-term rental stuff. So,
I mean, do you think that they should even be going down this road, or should they just be like, man, look, man, these reservations are obviously made a year in advance. You obviously, Doug Fowler knows that people do this. I mean, he is the chair of the Advertising Promotion Commission. He's thought this out, right? They're like, you can't make people people make reservations for Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue at the end of Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, right? For the next year. They're booking their hotel rooms, their Airbnbs a year out, right?
Right. Yeah, it puts people in a predicament. Like you said, it could be family reunions. They could be bringing a family in and maybe going to the 4th of July fireworks or staying in a lake or just a vacation, you know?
Yeah.
So
But let's
it's
declare
unfortunate.
this an emergency, right?
Right. Well, we'll
think
see
the
what
emer-
happens, man. One day.
Yeah. One day, if it ever makes it through court, right?
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see what happens on the 26th. So that's your STR updates, y'all. What else we got, buddy? Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads, all the dads or the dudes doing the dad duties, right? Happy Father's Day, all right? You know,
Amen.
it's like we give credit to the moms raising the kids. We give credit to the dads raising the kids, man. And it ain't easy being a dad sometimes. It's like it ain't easy being a mom sometimes. But you grin and bear it, and you hope for the best.
Take your pain, man.
Take your pain. Oh man. Well, yeah, that's coming up this weekend, man. Sunday.
Take care of your dad, man.
Fireworks. 4th of July fireworks is going to be on actually the 3rd of July this year, right? I believe over at Lake Point, or the park down below the dam on Loch Lomond. That's where everybody can park and view. You can't actually enter the Lake Point area unless you have tickets. I don't even know if they did the ticket thing. I don't follow the POA that much anymore, man. Just like I don't follow the city that much anymore. But annual city fireworks show is set for July 3rd. There are some rules if you're going to pop off your own fireworks like we do over here. Go big, brother. But by city ordinance, fireworks are allowed to be set off from 6 p.m. to midnight, July 3rd through 5th on private property with the property owner's consent. Well, I give myself consent to blow. I give my consent, myself consent to blow up some fireworks on. Well, whenever I want. You know? I mean, you can't put a limitation on celebrating freedom, right? I mean, you really can't.
What we got left of freedom,
right? I'm until you pry that lighter or that punk out of my cold dead hands, I'm gonna pop off some fireworks to celebrate this independence that we got over here.
Amen.
Just saying. Amen. Right. Speaking of independence, brother, I told you I was gonna put together a shirt.
Oh yeah.
I put together an independence, a patriotic shirt. You want to see it?
Yeah, let's see that, baby.
All right, man. NWA Exchange Podcast merch store. I know it's tiny on your screen. Don't worry, I got to zoom in for you. These come in red, white, and blue, though. You know, because America, right? And
perfect time to get a shirt for your for Father's Day.
Yeah,
man.
United States of America, established 1776. Freedom, liberty, independence, land of the free, and home of the brave. You can head over to the merch store and get that. You'll probably be in before 4th of July, guaranteed.
Awesome.
That company's gotten way better on their shipping and stuff. I'm going to order 3, and I'm going to watch the countdown. You want one?
Maybe we'll give a couple next week. We'll give some away.
Yeah. I'll order a couple of larges, and we can give away a couple of larges.
Okay.
I have a little bit on hand. It's always good to give stuff out every now and then. Show the support for the ones that support us. But yeah, head over to, we'll post this link out for these shirts over on NW Exchange social medias. If you guys are interested in picking it up, supporting the show, everything we do is out of our own pockets. So any little bit of support or assistance helps, and you guys get a nice shirt out of it. Bella Vista's Farmers Market, Sunday, 8 to 1 p.m. over at Mercy Way. 1 Mercy Way, Bella Vista, Arkansas. We talk about this every week. Support local, support farmers. Support the local people making stuff. I have not been out there this year, man. I need to make it out there. I feel bad for not making it out there, but life gets too busy.
Yeah. I wish it was still back over in Lancashire, but unfortunately, it's just a gridlock there, man. Yeah. You know? Just a bad location.
We're encroaching on the 20-minute mark. We're going to burn through this next one, and that's
all right.
$10 cost plus.
Look at this. Perfect timing for Dad. Go buy him a whole boneless ribeye. You'll be a hero forever. Hint, hint, hint. Look at that. $5.95 a pound, man. And if you want some carnitas, bone-in sirloin pork roast, $1 a pound. 80-20 ground beef for tacos, $2.98 a pound. St. Louis spare ribs, man, $2 a pound. You can't beat that, man.
Ah,
Chicken drumsticks, 55 cents a pound. Wrap it up with a spiked whole seedless watermelon for $3.98. Pick up that grain alcohol, cut a 1-inch square in there, and put a little bit in there and rotate it every 30 minutes.
yes. And over here on the non-meatitarians section, we got some Roma tomatoes, 77 cents a pound. Head of lettuce, 98 cents each. Small mangoes, 52 cents each for mangoes. And I don't know, anything in there ringing a bell? I don't know. Maybe the
Tino's.
tape.
Yes,
The pizza roll, yeah. I mean, yeah. If you want to, oh, dude, there's so much salt in those, man. I love them. Although they make a great late night snack, man. Especially if you're camping or something like that. Just toss them in the microwave, man. Go sit by the fire and just
chomp those down.
yeah. All right, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a quick break. And during the break, we are going to play something that is catching the internet by fire. And it's Tucker Tweets. Tucker on Twitter, man, ever since he was canned from Fox News, chose to step away, whatever you'll call it. He's been getting more views on Twitter
He's on
than
fire
Fox
right
News
now,
is
man.
getting. But he came out with one. He's doing this episode 4, dude. I want everybody to take note of this. If you haven't seen it, you're going to love this. This break's going to be about 11 minutes long, but we're going to give you some actual engaging content from Tucker Carlson himself, right? Remember, our disclaimer says everything news related and everything else. We don't claim ownership to it. It's fair use because we want to disseminate his message to the world as well. So,
Amen.
that being said, here we go.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. On Tuesday afternoon, the Biden administration had Donald Trump arrested. It was a pretty big news story. You may have seen it. Just before 9 p.m. that night, as part of its coverage, Fox News ran 2 live video feeds next to one another. On the right, Donald Trump addressed his supporters in New Jersey. On the left, Joe Biden spoke at an event for the Secretary General of NATO in Washington. Beneath those videos at the bottom of the screen, Fox's banner read this way, quote, "Wannabe dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested." Those words were up for less than 30 seconds, but the effect was immediate. Inside Fox, the women who run the network panicked. First, they scolded the producer who put the banner on the screen. Less than 24 hours after that, he resigned. He'd been at Fox for more than a decade. He was considered one of the most capable people in the building. He offered to stay for the customary 2 weeks, but Fox told him to clear out his desk and leave immediately. Then the company issued a public apology for the 27-second-long wannabe dictator line. Quote, "The chyron was taken down immediately," Fox's PR department said, and then added ominously it was, quote, "addressed." That was all true, but it was not enough to save Fox News from the ensuing scandal. For a time in the rest of the media, Fox's assessment of Donald Trump's arrest seemed to overshadow Trump's arrest itself. Suggesting that Biden is a dictator, declared the Washington Post, quote, "crossed the line." Alexander Vindman agreed strongly. Vindman is the perennial MSNBC guest and full-time Ukraine promoter you may remember from Russiagate. On Twitter, he demanded that the Pentagon pull Fox News from all military bases. It is, quote, "absolutely unacceptable for American Forces Network to carry programming that directly, spuriously, attacks the commander-in-chief of American Armed Forces," Vindman wrote. In other words, Joe Biden must ban all criticism of himself because that's what non-dictators do. John Cusack went further still. "For the crime of calling Biden a dictator, Fox should be shut down," wrote the 80s-era movie star. Quote, "the government has to take away their broadcasting license," and so on. It was all over the internet. Democrats were very, very angry. But why were they angry? If the banner on Fox was false, why the hysteria? Lies don't seem to bother anyone anymore. If some cable news producer had called Joe Biden a genius or accused him of being secretly Sudanese, would anyone be yelling about it? Would Fox News have apologized for it? Probably not. But calling Joe Biden a wannabe dictator, that stung. So you've got to wonder, if you're being honest with yourself, is Joe Biden a wannabe dictator? That question came up yesterday at the White House briefing. Here's how it went.
Last night, Fox News ran a chyron that referred to the president as a wannabe dictator, and I'm wondering if the White House has any comment on that.
So look, there are probably about 787 million things that I can say about this. That was wrong about what we saw last night, but I don't think I'm going to get into it.
There's no comment the White House has
I
on.
think I just commented.
Oh, no comment necessary. Of course Joe Biden's not a wannabe dictator. Just because he's trying to put the other candidate in prison for the rest of his life for a crime he himself committed doesn't mean he has a totalitarian impulse. Come on, that's absurd. It takes a lot more than jailing your political rivals to earn the title wannabe dictator. That's the consensus in Washington tonight. And in some ways, for once, the consensus may be right. It is not a small thing to be a wannabe dictator. It's quite a process. There are a lot of steps. First off, there is the money. The one thing that all dictators have in common is they enrich themselves and their families, their tribe, even as the countries they govern grow steadily poorer and more desperate. They take kickbacks from businesses and from other dictators. They use the official functions of their government to funnel cash to themselves. They don't bother to hide the fruits of this. They live in garish mansions with big lawns, far from the teeming cities, even as their own citizens languish in growing poverty, in some cases literally living in tents on the street. So they don't really hide it, it's all pretty blatant, and ordinary people resent it. Of course they do, and wannabe dictators know they resent it, but they don't care. There's nothing the population can do about it in a dictatorship. It's no longer possible to fight injustice in a system like that. People can't gather in large numbers to protest the rule of the dictator. If they try that, they'll be arrested by his state security services, even years after the fact. A visit from men in body armor at the breakfast table. That happens. And if citizens persist in believing they can gather in groups to protest, they may be shot to death, a bullet to the throat. And then, just to make the humiliation complete, to make the lesson gin clear to everyone else watching, their relatives can be arrested for daring to complain that their children were killed for complaining. That actually happens in some places. Ask Ashley Babbitt's mother. Here she is in handcuffs.
You murdered her inside the Capitol, now you're going to arrest her? Come out of there.
101, have a transport response.
Sidewalk.
So don't be like Ashley Babbitt's mother, much less like poor Ashley Babbitt. She's dead now. That's the message a wannabe dictator would send. And by the way, it's not just public protest that would be banned in a dictatorship. You wouldn't be allowed to complain from your own home. Unauthorized opinions expressed on the internet would be censored. Go too far, press too deep, tell too much truth, and they'll just erase your opinions. They have no choice, really. It's a matter, as they say, of trust and safety. You must trust the leader, or else you will jeopardize his safety. Not that you really can jeopardize his safety at this point. The leader has nuclear weapons, and you don't. He'll remind you of that from time to time. And in any case, you're in the process of being disarmed anyway, along with everyone else who has shown questionable loyalty to the leader. Those who support the regime can keep their weapons and use them freely, including on public transportation. That's a core civil right for them. But for those who dissent from the program, self-defense is an unaffordable privilege. Turn in your guns, Mr. and Mrs. Peaceful Opposition. You're a danger to society, and we know who you are. And in fact, the wannabe dictator does know who they are because he knows everything. Technology has made him all-seeing. A report in Wired magazine just this week revealed that the highly non-dictatorial Biden administration is busy tracking the phones of millions of Americans without their knowledge and without bothering to get a warrant. And at the same time, the same non-dictatorial administration is stockpiling a massive trove of damaging information about these same Americans, to be used at some point, we are sure, for entirely noble purposes. So the administration now knows everything: where you spend your days, who you talk to, what you think, your porn habits. Not a big deal. The administration already knows what you buy, of course, because they've leaned on the big banks to turn over your confidential credit card information. Not because anyone here is a wannabe dictator, to be clear, but just because. It's nice to have that information, just in case, in the words of the Fox News PR department, a situation arises that needs to be, quote, addressed. It's all totally normal. It's not a dictatorship, okay? But in the end, the main reason Joe Biden is not a wannabe dictator is because he just does not fit the profile as a man. Dictators have that look. You know one when you see one. Dictators build cults of personality around themselves, and they use those cults to deny the glaringly obvious. In his later years, to name just one example, North Korean dictator Kim Il-sung developed an enormous baseball-sized tumor on the back of his neck. It was huge. It was grotesque. It was right there. You couldn't ignore it. You couldn't possibly not see it. But in North Korea, state media did ignore it. They pretended it didn't exist. And so, in some important sense, it didn't. If a tumor grows on a neck but no one acknowledges it, is it really there? Thankfully, nothing like that is happening in our country or ever will. If Joe Biden ever developed some profound physical or medical problem that was obvious to everybody, journalists would say something. This is not North Korea. We don't have state media here. If Joe Biden was, say, incapable of completing a full sentence, or mistook his sister for his wife, or suddenly started falling down in public for no reason, the New York Times would report on that and then get to the bottom of what was actually happening. That would be its duty in a free country like ours. It's not like they would cover it up. The very idea of a cover-up sounds like a conspiracy theory, a dangerous one, actually, so stop it. And by the way, if Joe Biden was a wannabe dictator, he'd have the family to match. All dictators do. Saddam Hussein had Uday and Qusay. They were princelings who lived above the law, indulging their most decadent fantasies with total confidence they would be never held to account by the police. As the sons of a dictator, they knew they could do exactly what they wanted, and so that's what they did. There's no one like that around Joe Biden. He doesn't have weird sex scandals at the heart of his family that no one in the media will ever talk about. He doesn't have a ne'er-do-well former nightclub-owning brother who's made a living for 30 years by being related to him. Not at all. That's dictator stuff. Joe Biden doesn't award ridiculous inflated titles to his relatives that the media are then required to take seriously. He doesn't call people doctor who didn't go to medical school and then force you to nod along like it's real when everyone knows it isn't. Nicolae Ceausescu did that with his wife, Elena. Joe Biden would never do that. Nor does Joe Biden dress like a dictator. He doesn't do photo ops in mirrored sunglasses driving a sports car to convince you that he isn't frail and senile, but instead powerful, virile, and wise. That's just not his style. If Joe Biden was a dictator, he'd be wearing epaulets and carrying a tasseled riding crop, and he isn't yet, so calm down. If he was a dictator, Biden's speeches would look like Nuremberg rallies, a blood-red backdrop, armed soldiers by his side, screaming about crushing his eternal enemies. Honestly, Biden did come close to that one time last September at a speech in Philadelphia, but it wasn't in any sense dictatory. It was necessary. As MSNBC assured us at the time, quote, Biden aimed to showcase his faith in the military apparatus and its ability to back the democratic order. See, it was about democracy, not dictatorship. No cause for alarm. He is not a dictator. A dictator would stockpile ammunition for his own bureaucrats, including his tax collectors. He'd redefine the legal code to make disloyalty to the regime the most serious crime. He'd claim dominion over the most intimate parts of his citizens' lives. He'd define what attitudes they were allowed to have about sex and religion and how to raise their families. He would even, in his final grandiose stage of dictatorship, claim ownership of their children. And Joe Biden wouldn't do that. And to prove he would never do that, Biden just this week released this video.
These are our kids. These are our neighbors. Not somebody else's kids, they're all our kids. And our children are the kite strings that hold our national ambitions aloft. It matters a great deal how we treat everyone in this country. LGBTQ Americans, especially children, you're loved, you're heard, and this administration has your back.
See? Joe Biden isn't saying your children belong to him like a dictator would. He's saying something very different from that. He's saying America's children are, quote, our children. Not his alone, ours. You share your children with Joe Biden evenly, right down the middle, with alternating weekends. You've got joint custody with Joe Biden, and you can thank heaven that you do. A nation is like a family. Every family has a head, a father. That's Joe Biden, our nation's father. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is now his fatherland. Just don't call it a dictatorship, or we'll have to issue a statement disavowing you.
You often hear people say the news is full of lies.
In Kennedy's motorcade,
239 people tell the death of Jeffrey Epstein.
If you guys are not following Tucker over on Twitter, you guys, I mean, like, dude, I had to, like, I was kicked off Twitter, dude, during the whole, hostile takeover of the internet during COVID and stuff. My account was suspended off Twitter, and I was like, well, screw it. I'm not starting another one up, right? But after Elon got Twitter, I gave it a long, hard thought. Kind of like Donald Trump did, bro. I was like, I'm not going back to Twitter. But people share links to Twitter, right? So there is, as somebody who consumes information and tries to redistribute it and repackage it and redistribute it, that's what we do over here at NWA, right? We try to put things into context.
We try to educate people with facts is what we try to do.
Or
unfortunately, the mainstream
pose an
media,
opinion, right? Pose an opinion of somebody that, like, we feel that they have a valid opinion. That's what we do over here. It's about amplifying everybody's voices and exchanging information. NWA Exchange, we thought about that name for a very long time, and we thought about it really hard, dude.
Yep.
This is a place where we can trade information. This is a place where we can amplify voices. This is a place where we don't care about your programming. We want to hear your story. We want to tell our story or others' stories. And that's what we do over here at NWA. Right. And, I've received so much positive feedback from people in the community who watch our podcast, have seen our podcast, like what we're doing, to include city council members, the whole 9 yards. This is your hub for information in Bella Vista. This is your hub for information and viewpoints of people who live. We are your neighbors. We're not paid to do this. Trust me, if we were, wouldn't be living in Bella Vista. I could tell you that much. Be living in Malibu, baby. Whoop.
Yeah. Well, we're not like a local media station that's, has an editor and they're told what they should run and what they shouldn't run and how they should, disseminate information.
Let me actually confer that you can say that. Let me call our editor real quick. You can say that. Okay. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I'm our editor. I'm our social media. I'm our tech guy. Mark, you do a phenomenal job at like aligning our show notes and our agendas and taking the trash out. Man, I really do appreciate that. But you do the outreach and everything else. You let me focus on the tech and the production value that we bring to the show.
Yeah.
And there's always room for improvement and all that. But like, this is why we do this. We want to tell these stories. I guarantee you, Mark, I guarantee you, this podcast will probably not last that long on the platforms that we share it on. But you know what? We're still doing it, and we run recordings. We can chop it up, and we can still decipher that information if we need to, if they block us. But I guarantee you, this one probably won't last long, just because of the Tucker piece. It's not going to be Tucker claiming copyright on his video. He's enjoying people sharing the crap out of his stuff right now. It's going to be somebody getting triggered and reporting this. To that, I say, go ahead and do that. Don't worry. I'm in communication with Tucker. I can get that release if I need to, right? But somebody's going to get triggered and they're going to say, because it's not governed by Elon of what violates. It's governed by Facebook's policies, YouTube's policies. This may contain sensitive information or may contain something that hurts your feelings, right? Fuck your feelings. I'm sorry. Gotta say it.
Well, there was a time when people respected other people's opinions, right? And would take the information and make their own informed decisions. But unfortunately, that's not the case anymore, and that's why we are where we are today.
I don't want to sound cold or anything by saying, F your feelings, bro. But, there are people out here who are just they're not even adulting, all right? At the end of the day, you know how much stuff offends me on the daily, and I don't sit there and get triggered by it. I don't allow somebody's opinion to offset my day. I don't allow that.
I agree with you.
Be an
Yeah, just
adult.
let it-
It's sticks
Well, I
and
respect-
stones,
I
bro.
respect
Sticks and
people's
stones may
opinions.
break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Remember those
Right.
sayings that we all
Absolutely.
grew up with,
As kids. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Our generation is like, words hurt. No, I'm sorry. This new generation, words hurt. Oh my gosh, I got PTSD because this guy told me to get my fat butt out of the way because I was blocking the whole aisle in the Walmart in a thong twerking, right? Because that stuff happens, bro. You know, get your bad ass out of the way, right? I mean, that's what I'm going to say if I'm shopping. I don't even shop at a Walmart. When I go into a Walmart, man, I just like, I feel like the energy just being sucked out of me. It's like, I will buy it online. I'll go to Lowe's. I'll go to a local grocery store. I'll go to a local lumber shop. Dude, I try to stay out of those places. I do.
Right. Yeah. And
I
you're
do.
entitled to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So far.
So far, speaking of entitled to do that, I guarantee you I'm going to talk about some entitlement right now.
Good segue right here,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Hey,
So,
we're in the
I don't
know.
know if we are always in the know over here at NWA Exchange, man. You don't got to watch those other shows to be in the know. You just got to watch this one, baby. All right. So we'll go back over to WebShare. You know, there's this nice Arkansas Money and Politics website, magazine, whole 9 yards. Tyson CFO, man, John R. Tyson, growth mode for Tyson Foods, the best is yet to come. Well, I can guarantee you, he's got that positive mindset, bro. For Tyson's, because he got out of so many charges whenever he fell asleep in somebody's bed, right? You remember this wasn't even 6 months ago, bro.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys, so quick to forget, right? This guy. All right, first off, breaking
The
and
optics are
entry.
so bad at this. I don't understand. Did they not do
Breaking
their
and
homework?
entry, right? Breaking and entry, trespass, criminal trespass, drunk and
Yeah.
disorderly. I don't even know what else he did in that place. I mean, the guy stripped down in his skivvies and climbed into somebody's bed. You know, I just had a little bender, no biggie, officer. Anyway, pled not guilty, but then reversed his plea to guilty. Only got away with a $400 and something fine, right? Was it? Yeah, Tyson's Food. Here we go. Back in when was this? When was this? This was back in
I
January.
think it was in January.
January, yeah.
Crazy.
John R.
man.
Tyson pleads guilty after waking up in a college student's bed. Tyson Food CFO John R. Tyson pleaded guilty to multiple charges on Tuesday after a highly publicized November arrest. It was November when he was arrested, which he was caught attempting to sleep in a stranger's bed. Dude went full Goldilocks, man. Like, you know, like I bet he made some porridge too before he climbed in that nice comfy bed too, man. You
This
know?
is just the craziest stuff I've ever.
But he walked away with a $150 fine for each charge and a total of $440 with fees. So they didn't even like charge this guy properly, man. This is the definition of white privilege, y'all. This is the definition of privilege, right? Because
I don't even know where to
not
go
even
with
6
this.
months later, I'm on the cover of a magazine. Yeah. Right? You just living a life. Let's not forget, Mark. There is body cam footage out on the internet, right? The internet's forever. Unless you, I don't know, have enough money to have it scrubbed, which he probably does. That's all right, son. Look at him. All cozy in bed. Let's watch some of this.
Mr. Tyson.
Mr. Tyson.
They knew exactly who he was. John, wake up.
Fayetteville Police Department. You're not in your house.
Huh? Look at him. Look at what's going on with his hand.
He's back into the jack
John.
moment.
What's he doing with his hand?
He probably thinks he's stroking. I'm stroking. Stroking to
John.
the east.
Need you to wake up and talk to me before I drag you out here butt naked.
This is crazy, man.
John.
I forgot
Fayetteville
about
Police
this.
Department.
Obviously, that
You
magazine
have two
company
options.
did
Either
too.
one is you sit up and put your clothes on, or two, you go to jail just like.
Well, the magazine is Arkansas Money and Politics, right? So obviously, if you have money, you can influence politics, and you can get on the cover of a magazine.
You are right now.
Look at this. Like, what these guys?
Look at the orange undies, man. At least he's wearing.
like
At least he's
Carlsbad.
wearing convict orange already. All right. He's ready to just be accepted to the system, man.
Hands behind your back.
Yo, yo.
Hayville Police Department.
Why you want to
This
fight the
isn't your
police?
house.
Yeah.
Hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
Whoa.
You're under arrest.
Whoa.
Relax. Put your hands behind your back. Harry, relax. Relax.
Ow. Chill.
Ow.
Cuffs.
Welcome, Johnny.
Go around my other side.
Bro, maybe I need to go start playing Goldilocks, man, and sleeping in people's beds, and then be on the front of the magazine, bro.
But
you
just
know what I mean?
imagine this idiot.
This is
ended up,
privilege.
like,
This is
at someone's
privilege.
house.
This is
that
privilege, Mark.
had a gun or something. This could have ended up really bad for him, man.
Yeah, I tell
You
you
know?
what, man. If I walk into my house after coming home, and I walk into the bedroom, somebody's in the bed. There's a grown ass man sleeping in my bed. Yeah, probably not gonna. I'm gonna escort you out of my motherfucking house. I'm gonna put you under. I know I'm using profanity, and some people don't like that, but bro, I have to speak my mind whenever I have to speak my mind, right? You are not welcome in my. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I can't
You're
believe how
sleeping in
patient
my
they were
bed.
with him, man.
Like, imagine that, dude. I've had a house broken into before. Whenever I lived up in Washington State, outside of Tacoma, it is one of the most violating experiences. Because you don't know exactly what these people did in your home, right?
Right.
You don't know what they took, until you
yeah.
find out that they took it, right? The obvious stuff is obvious, but the other stuff you don't know. It's one of the most violating experiences that I think I have really ever gone through. And so I take this stuff serious, right? It's like you don't come to my house unless you're welcome to be at my house, right? This is a man's home is his castle.
Right.
Period. Right. And for this guy to just be like, whatever, I'm rich, I get off with a $440 fine. I pled guilty, and that's all I got. I'm sure he probably gave the. This is speculation, y'all. It's just my opinion. He probably did something for the person that, he violated their home.
Right.
Probably.
Well, I'll never know.
But the
We'll never know.
prosecutor
It's
saw
a-
it fit to do that. I mean, like, dude, people who get a DUI alone.
Well, they knew
Or
who
like
he,
a $3,000 to
they knew who he
$4,000,
was, man. Did you see that before
they
even
knew
engaged
exactly
him?
who he was. They picked up his wallet and all that jazz.
Yep.
You ain't gonna see Tyrone getting treated like this. They gonna be fighting him butt naked, man. It ain't happening, bro. I mean, But this is the definition of privilege: rich, entitled kids these days. Yeah, rich, entitled kids.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
Whatever you got to do to get on the front page of a magazine. Moving along, son. Bud Light, dude, they're just bleeding out, bro. Like this. Even Garth Brooks came out. He's like, "You guys are just being ridiculous." Shut up, Garth Brooks. You've been ridiculous for years. Shut up, Garth. But Bud Light loses its title as America Stop Selling Beer, and the throne goes to Modelo. I've drank Modelo. It's not terrible beer actually. It's pretty good, man. I think I enjoy Modelo. Like if I can't get Corona, I'll drink a Modelo before I drink a Tecate.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
show.
I've had Modelo special or dark special or something like that. It was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, Modelo for 4 weeks ending on June 3rd, Modelo captured 8.4% of the U.S. retail beer sales, with Bud
So
Light
it's a shift in
following
market
the second
share.
place
Yeah.
with 7.3%.
Yeah, and they're just sitting there hoping this problem will go away, man.
It ain't going away, bro. It ain't. Look, people are looting stores, Mark, but they're leaving the Bud Light. They are. They're like, nah, wouldn't be caught dead walking out of a store with that, even if I looted it. They whole pallet right there just left alone, man. I don't know. Can't make this stuff up, man. Screw you, Bud Light.
Oh man. That's too
Horowitz.
much.
Oh man, this one gets a little controversial. Okay, so you remember whenever everybody was telling you it's 100% safe and effective.
Yeah, well, that's what Pfizer originally said when they came out, and then
Everybody was
gathering.
why? Oh, you conspiracy theorists! You're worried about adverse events, adverse
Well,
effects.
then they were getting pressure, and remember, then they submitted to do that VAERS system, so it was a verification system for
Yeah,
for
but
the whole
VAERS was
country.
even failing the American public too. And on top of it, Pfizer wanted their information sealed for 60-something years, right? I believe.
Yeah, pretty
Well,
close to it. Yeah.
A judge said, no, that ain't happening. You got to turn it out. And I think they were turning it out in like 2,000-page batches or whatever. Well, Horowitz did a report on the information that was released from Pfizer. And he found that, confidential Pfizer documents show the company observed 1.6 million adverse events covering nearly every organ system. This one might, put a little fear in people. But look,
Right.
back in the
So
day,
every-
a Gen Xer, man, they know this line, dude. Remember the DARE program? Don't take drugs from strangers. DARE. We were told, we were coached to not take drugs from strangers, and dang sure we're coached to not take just everybody's gonna jump off a bridge. Are you gonna do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have heeded that. That's all I gotta say, because over 10,000 categories of nearly 1.6 million adverse events, many of them serious and debilitating, brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah.
You might not have heard it in the news, but in
disgusting.
recent months, Pfizer's pharmacological documents requested by the European Union's drug regulator, the European Medicines Agency, have been released. They show that Pfizer knew about a sickening level of injury early on. An August 2022 document shows that the company already had observed the following scope of vaccine injury. So this is in 2022. They're still pushing these things to
Yeah.
date.
So they lied. They lied. Yeah.
508,351 individual cases report adverse events containing 1,597,673 events.
Wow.
1/3 of the adverse events were
Horrible.
classified as serious, well above the standard for safety signals, usually pegged at 15%. Women reported adverse events at 3 times the rate of men. 60% of cases were reported with either outcome unknown or not recovered. So many of these injuries were not transient. Highest number of cases occurred in the 31 to 50 year age group, and 92% did not have any morbidities, which makes it very likely that it was the vaccine that was causing such widespread sudden injury. These numbers alone suggest that all COVID shots should be defunded by Congress, must immediately remove liability protections from the manufacturers, but a more recent document released by the Europeans is even more devastating because it breaks down the 1.6 million adverse events observed by Pfizer themselves by category and subcategory of ailment and injury. Y'all are not going to want to miss this.
So here's how I feel about this. I feel that anybody's been affected, and I know friends and family members that have been affected by this. The Pfizer should be responsible for all their health, their medical bills, any medical bill that they has.
Absolutely.
If they can't function and do their job, they need to be paid a salary by
Absolutely.
Pfizer. I don't care if they go bankrupt.
Dude,
I really don't care.
Dude, you guys were so confident that no, there has to be accountability, man. If you're putting turpentine in Wheaties and people get cancer, stomach cancer, you're the one that put the turpentine in the Wheaties. You didn't test it before you put it to market. Well, we did. It was a pandemic, was it? There were many effective, and we know this now. There were many effective alternative treatments. Remember, they even stopped producing the monoclonal antibodies because people were opting for that versus taking the shot.
Yeah, they refused to fill the scripts in the pharmacies. You're absolutely correct.
Doctors are writing protocol. We use
They're writing scripts,
ivermectin,
and they refuse to fill them.
other products as well. And they were like, nope. And then they were going after the doctors for prescribing that.
Yeah. Well, we know what happened with the doctors now.
This
Fast
one was
forward.
shared by Malone, man, the guy who actually created the mRNA technology. Here's the thing, though. Everything he said is actually was already known by Pfizer, but they just masked all of this and kept the general public, the general world population. This is the stuff that should scare you, right? This, Tucker was talking about it, but we're talking about it as well.
Yeah,
this is the stuff that
scary.
should scare you, right? Because
Right.
they knew this. The company knew this. Still pushing it to date, right?
Yeah.
These people need to be arrested, tried,
They do.
and quartered. That's it.
Yeah.
So Pfizer was aware of 73,542 cases of 264 categories of vascular disorders from the shots alone. Many of them are rare conditions. There are hundreds of categories of nervous systems disorders, totaling in 696,508 cases. There were 61,518 adverse events from well over 100 categories of eye disorders, which is unusual for a vaccine injury. Likewise, there was 47,000 ear disorders, including 16,000 cases of tinnitus. A lot of people have ringing ears these days. That's a neurological problem. Central nervous system. There were roughly 225,000 cases of skin and tissue disorders, 190,000 cases of respiratory disorders, 178,000 cases of reproductive or breast disorders, including disorders you wouldn't expect, such as 506 cases of ED. Guess Pfizer could sell more Viagra, though, right? Very disturbingly, there were over 77,000 psychiatric disorders observed following the shots, lending credence to Peter McCullough's research observing case, which shows psychosis correlating with vaccination. Crazy world we live in these days, right? 3,711 cases of tumors, benign and malignant. Of course, there were almost 127,000 cardiac disorders, running the gamut of 270 categories of heart damage, including many rare disorders in addition to myocarditis. There were over 100,000 blood and lymphatic disorders, for both of which there's a wealth of literature linking them to a spike protein. When reading this information, Pfizer knew early on, juxtaposed to independent studies, it's clear that nobody could have mistaken most of these adverse effects for mere incidental ailment. And I agree with this assumption, man. They knew stuff was going on. They knew it before they even put it to market.
Yeah.
They looked
Crazy.
at this as collateral damage to put their stuff to market and do it. But now we know it's not 100% effective. It's not even effective. If you catch COVID, you're more effective. Remember everybody giving Rand Paul, all the grief that he got for saying, man, historically, if you get a virus, you've got more protection.
Right.
Why is this? Because this was a bioweapon. It was either a bioweapon via fear, and COVID never existed, and the bioweapon was actually the fix, the vaccine, or it was a bioweapon and they just totally missed the mark on the vaccine.
Yeah.
One of the two. But the American people deserve the truth, and I'm going to shut my mouth because we've been on for 59 minutes and we still got 2 more topics. Anything you want to say in closing on this topic, though, bro?
No, it just frustrates me. It's just horrible to see what's happening to American people out there, and we're lied to, and it gets to a point where you don't know what to believe anymore after something like this.
Well, credibility is where it boils down to. When you have some of these, these institutions such as the FDA and the CDC and the White House and the government and the Department of Homeland Security and the World Health Organization, you guys have lost all credibility because you got greedy.
Right. Yeah. This is all about money.
Greedy.
was all
It was about
money.
money. It really was. It was about money and power, and the shift towards the global government is what I believe.
Yeah.
You know, they want to name the World Health Organization as the governing body for the world. You know, so they can they actually can tell governments, you need to go into lockdown.
Right. Yeah,
Screw
it's
your freedom.
ridiculous.
Screw everything. No, I don't. No, that's not what our Constitution says. I'm a sovereign citizen of the United States. I'm governed by the United States Constitution. And that means something to some of us still.
Yeah, it does.
And it needs to mean something to future generations if we're going to even have a nation. Right now, we don't. We don't.
Yeah, very true.
All right, moving along, man. Starbucks, man. I don't even drink Starbucks. You drink Starbucks?
Yeah, every once in a blue moon, if I have one. Not too often, though.
Well, Starbucks manager wins a $25.6 million lawsuit after arguing she was fired for being white. Say it ain't so. Starbucks is racist against white people? Really? Aren't white people their base?
Yeah, I guess apparently she was there for 13 years, but she was fired without cause and brought it to court, and she ended up winning, man. $25.6 million.
Wow, she was fired. Why was she fired?
You know how they do it, man. They make up whatever they want.
They just fire you for whatever reason. Oh, it looks like it looks like she reminded the jurors the testimony of district manager Paul Sykes, who is black, and reported to Phillips. Rashawn Nelson left, and Dante Robertson, writer, shown getting arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks on April 12, 2018. A regional manager won $25.6 million settlement after the jury found that she was fired for being white. That her beloved.
They basically told her that when they, I guess, probably the exit interview or what.
Man, you're just not a good fit for our company no more. Bye. All right. Well, you know what? Solidifies why I don't drink Starbucks.
Well, it's your DEI, man. That's what it comes down to again.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, right?
Yep.
Auto shops are struggling to find trained mechanics amid national shortage. You know me, bro. You know, if something breaks,
we've been talking about this for a long time.
If something breaks, I'm gonna fix it, right? Like, it's like, you know, my buddy Seth, he wants to buy this Ford E350 van and stuff, and so I went down earlier this week, and looked at it. He said, man, it runs, drives, and it doesn't have high mileage, but the air conditioner don't work. I show up, I take a peek at it. I noticed the air conditioner clutch kind of shimmy. It's wobbly, which means the clutch material's out of tolerance. Usually that's 50 thou on there. It's anywhere from 15 to 50 thou on a Ford for the clutch material. And I see it wobbling like that, and I'm like, yeah, your compressor clutch probably isn't. It probably needs to be replaced. What's that going to set me back? Well, if you go to a dealership, it's going to set you back, $5,000. If you come to me, it's going to set you back $115. I mean, dude, look, I say I'm a former mechanic. I'm always a mechanic, right? But being able to have the skill sets to work on stuff yourself, or determine what the problem is, diagnose the problem, take it into a shop and say, I want you to do this, this, and this, and this. I'm only paying a labor rate for I'm not paying you to troubleshoot. I'm paying your labor rates because I really don't feel like pulling out a motor and a transmission right now. Right? That gives you an advantage. Yeah. But 90% of the failures on a vehicle are easily fixed with the knowledge and the ability to wiggle your hands up in there, take parts off, put the parts back on, diagnose, troubleshoot, replace the parts that need to be replaced, replace the parts that may fail in the future while you're in there, right?
Right.
And you can keep stuff running. Like, dude, I'm telling you, there are still 1960, 1970 vehicles all over the damn road today.
Yeah.
Right?
Very true.
Just because people know how to turn wrenches.
Right.
Doesn't require a computer. Doesn't require anything other than knowledge to keep that thing running. You can do it with duct tape and baling wire if you got to in a pinch. Yeah. That's the type of vehicle I like.
Yeah, I mean,
we got to start educating people on how to work on stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of these schools need to convert over, and I know you were had those experiences in school, and I did too.
Yeah, I went to a vocational high school.
I had access to all those classes and doing different things, and I think it really needs to go. High schools need to go into turn into a comprehensive school where you have the book side of it and you have the hands-on side of it, no matter what it is. If it's woodworking, if it's metal,
I think
if
guidance
it's
counselors.
electronics.
I think guidance counselors should identify. Like, I think when you're in 7th or 8th grade, at that point, like this is like, okay, why are we having a shortage of people coming out of tech school to work on vehicles, right? There ain't no college degree on how to work on a car, right?
Right.
There's not.
Yeah.
You go to a vocational school or you go to college. But what have we done for the past 20 years? What has the government pushed on children the past 20 years?
Yeah.
You don't got a
loans.
college education, you ain't going to be nothing in life, right? No. We need vocational. We need a push for vocational schools. We need to push, like, dude, there are people who can work on cars all their life, and they're very successful. They make a lot of money. They have a lot of nice, cool vehicles, too, on top of it, right? Nice properties, the whole 9 yards. There are people who are welders who do very well for themselves. There are people who just only do electric motors very well for themselves, right? Everything is specialized. You want the best guy who is hyper-focused on his specialty. Like, I know the guy I'm going to call if I want to tune, a carburetor, and I'm having problems tuning it myself. There's a phone call. What's a carburetor, Chris? Everything's fuel injected. No, if I'm going to tune a carburetor and I got any problems with my vacuum readings or anything like that, I'm going to call this guy, right? And this guy's going to walk me through on the phone how to tune that carburetor, right?
Yeah.
Because they know that, and they build very fast cars by knowing that.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
We got to quit thinking this, because the only thing the college bubble did was put people with, federal student debt, kept them slaves to the system. So, just saying.
Yeah, there's good points.
That being said, man, any final thoughts?
No, I think those are great points. I think it goes back to you don't know what you don't know. If you don't show these kids different things, they're never going to learn, right? So you don't know if you're going to, you get them involved with doing electronics or automotive or metal or woodworking. It doesn't matter what it is. It's something you'll take with you for your whole life. I tell my kids this all the time. It's like when I had my first job when I was a kid, 8, 9 years old, I've taken something with my job, all the jobs I've had over the years, and use those. I use those skills up to today.
Dude, my mechanical skills, my radio, my video, my broadcasting, my karaoke days, dude. I take all life experience and I apply it to who I am, because ultimately that's what made me the person I am today at almost 45, right? Yeah. And you toss out the bad, you keep the good. Life is life. That's what you have to do if you're going to succeed in life, though, is you got to toss out the bad and just keep all the good things. And everything's a struggle. Every day is a struggle, bro. Yeah. But you know what? Lean on those good times. The bad times are tossed out, man. You got to keep some of those bad times, though, to remind you and center you. You have to do that.
Yeah. You got to be resilient, man.
They say, what's this terminology? They say forgive and forget. No, I forgive. I don't ever forget, man. Because I'm like, sometimes you get into a situation where you're like, why am I feeling this way? I felt this way before. When did I feel like this? Oh, back then. What was the solution at that point? Right? Or what was the outcome of that point? But you take all your life experiences and you bundle it up. And by the time that you're hit 60 or 70, right? Like you're a bad dude. You're like, dude, like, don't, like, look, you should be, that should be a goal for people, right? Is to know as much about as much that you can know, right?
Right.
Like a jack of all trades mentality. And like that's the world I grew up in. Like I knew jack of all trades. I knew the people I could call if I didn't know it, but then I wouldn't just like call them to come and fix it. I would call them to learn from it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come over, let's work on this together. So I'm going to offer this. I got to change the oil in the RV sometime, in the next month. If you guys want to come over and drain like 5 gallons of oil out of an RV and learn how an RV Cummins diesel engine runs, I will let you turn the wrenches all day long, man. I will teach you, and I will even let you haul the oil to 2 different auto parts stores because they limit the amount of oil that you can like dump in a month.
5 quarts, right?
Right? Yeah. That's a big old motor in that sucker, man. But if you guys want to learn, hit us up in the comments. I will definitely call you and teach you how to change the oil on a Cummins diesel. It's not that hard.
There you go, man.
We're going to do fuel filters too, man. Fuel filters and fuel and water separators. We might have to do a show on that. Little how-to. This old rig.
Right.
I don't know. All right, y'all. We hope you have a great weekend. I know we went a little bit long, 11 minutes over, but you know what? Stay happy, healthy, humble. Be nice to one another.
Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.
Everybody, come take my hand, walk this road together.